Off the Rock Productions presents The End of the World in 7 plays. Today, One Soul, or The End of Life as We Know It by Germaine.
You, again. I wouldn't mind, but you must be so
disappointingly familiar.
So heartbreakingly porous.
A sort of featherless bird.
Something blown about. Bruised. I thought I'd finally shaken you in Paris.
It will take more than wine, more than bullets. Besides, I seem to thrive on oblivion.
I know. It becomes a sort of tonic.
And yet, awakening in a pool of blood, a hot bath helps.
As if history could be washed away. History is written in the world's tears.
I liked you better before your eyes grew lids.
I liked you better when you were a phosphorescent glimmer in my goldfish bowl.
I liked you better before you learned to snipe with words.
I thought I was a poet once. Or was that you? Always scribbling in that journal.
You're confusing me with a character from one of your books. The one who falls in love with a Palestinian and slowly desiccates in a desert of longing.
We will never be heroines, you and I. We are too riddled by doubt.
Too torn by warring impulses.
Too puny and damaged. Spirit bound by flesh. Or is that your line? You're the one who's been through all the fires of Hades and back again. What haven't you seen?
If you think that makes me wise.
Why so humble? You've seen the world, you have stories to tell.
Stories? What good are stories? I'm still puzzling out what they mean.
Is that what I have to look forward to? One endless slog through ambiguity.
You don't want to hear the answer. Let the road bend where it may.
One blind turn after another.
Glorious, isn't it?
Was that what you told yourself? When you entered the sea outside Damascus and began doggy paddling your way to freedom?
I've always taken my own dares.
But...
No buts. It's all perfectly simple. Flux and gravity are the only constants.
Aren't you forgetting love?
When I was your age, I went through men like chocolates in a sampler. Whole continents of them.
Wasn't that dangerous? Or at the very least, unhygienic?
Nonetheless. Is it not better to live as if one were immortal? To live without, at every breath, calculating risk and return?
You sound like someone who has never had parents. Besides, that isn't the sort of love I was referring to. Men are not chocolates. They are sinew and raw force.
Lust and reconnaissance.
Rape, pillage and war. And yet, you love them. Don't deny it.
What if I do? Has a woman's love ever once changed the course of history? Every woman on the face of the earth could pour herself out like honey, and it won't stop the trajectory of a single bomb.
Then why love?
Why breathe? Why stand upright? Why sate our hunger and quench our thirst?
I thought you less of a fatalist.
I thought you a stillborn Cupid, with almonds and raisins in your quiver.
I thought you the last untarnished penny atop the scrap heap of humanity.
I thought you sad and yielding.
Sad, yes. But a resistor. Same as you.
Life has hardened me like an urn. Soon I will spread my own ashes.
Not alone. Not without me.
I will spread myself from peak to peak. Annapurna to Makalu. Everest to Aconcagua. Denali to...
Sounds tiring. Have you ever thought of just being?
I tried it once. But then the tide rose and swept me up, held me in its crest like a human sacrifice. Had I not done something, I'd still be floating face down in the Mekong Delta.
What were you doing out there anyway? You wrote and said nothing.
You didn't write and said everything.
You thought you were serving democracy, when in fact you were gestating a killer intestinal parasite.
You shrank to the size of a rodent and gnawed on my big toe as I bellied through the mud.
I prayed for you.
Your prayers were poisoned darts spat from the mouth of a cobra.
Surely you and I can't be at war. We are the same soul after all.
Yet not at one.
At odds then?
Not that either. Ours is a self-improvisational relationship. Ticklish, like a tango.
As opposed to a waltz. But then you're the dancer. I've always preferred stillness. The inner recesses.
I thought of you at Masada, still as a sunken cypress in the Red Sea, watching the bloated bodies float by.
I thought of you when the sun rose and spilled into the room like a burst blood orange.
I've thought of you every breath, though I've never once felt you stir.
I'm thinking of you now. Always near and yet opaque as ink.
I can't think of you without feeling the moon swell between my ribs.
I see you, and yet not.
As if across a gleaming chasm.
A bowl of clouds.
Such plump, indifferent clouds.
Soon it will rain, and not stop. I've kept a metaphorical finger in the dike, hoping. But the flood will come. The world's tears won't be held back.
And then?
I knew. The fittest might evolve gills.
And the rest of us?
Float or flail, sink or swim. What does it matter? We'll be pickled in our own salt.
I'll keep you in my sights. I'd know you, even with fins, even flat as a flounder.
I'd know you shrouded, sea green in flotsam.
I'd know you in all 7 seas, across tide pools and sandbars.
Amid undulating schools of rainbow-coloured fish. Aliens in an aqueous netherworld.
Not forever.
Longer than you could bear to contemplate.
But surely, we might still enjoy the sunshine. Its last beams. Have you ever seen such light?
Blinding.
Sublime. How could anything be scarred or torn in light like this?
Who are we to be given such perfection?
Such possibility.
Such peace? If only forever were compact and malleable. Something we could take out of storage and burp like a baby whenever chaos dimmed the horizon. But no, we must hoard these moments. Fill ourselves to bursting with the faintest glimmer of hope. Every soul must inflate like a life raft.
But I'm so small.
Astonish yourself.
Say you love me.
If it makes a difference. You know I do.
It makes all the difference.
I've loved you from the time 2 cells fused in sodden ecstasy.
I've loved you in sonnets, on cereal boxes, encoded messages circling the necks of carrier pigeons.
I've loved you without the slightest notion of what love is, but knowing it was all I could do. You do look beautiful in this light.
And tomorrow?
Tomorrow, the earth where we stand will be water, reflecting flocks of migrating birds by day and mighty constellations of stars by night, catching them as they fall.
Must they fall?
Yes, but softly. So softly they'll barely ripple the surface. Soft as poppies.
But what would be left when we look up?
Amphibious angels? A moon or 2. I suspect there will be no more up and down, no sides or edges.
One indivisible fluid body.
Flowing toward us, barely a heartbeat away. Feel. One calmly surging flood of bliss.
have been listening to One Soul, or The End of Life as We Know It by Germaine. Old Soul was played by Jess Murray, and Young Soul by Stephanie Wood. One Soul, or The End of Life as We Know It, was produced by Matthew Wignall. The sound engineer was Alexander King, and it was directed by Matthew Wignall for Off the Rock Productions. The End of the World in 7 Plays was devised by Mike Hickman, Alexander King and Alison Young. For more information about Off the Rock Productions, please visit our website at offtherockproductions.co.uk.